Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Faculty of Arts Prep Week session on an introduction to interdisciplinary studies. If that's the session you're wanting to go to this afternoon, then you're in the right place. The session is for students entering the Faculty of Arts this fall who would like to learn more about what you can study in arts, what to expect in the Faculty of Arts, and resources and supports available for new students. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. My name is Amber Osterman and I do communications for the faculty. I'm going to be your host for this session. And I also want to remind everyone and make everyone aware that this session is being recorded. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that although we are together virtually today, the U of M campuses are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories, we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Thank you for listening to that message. So welcome to today's session. We're so very happy that you've chosen the Faculty of Arts for your education. It's finally getting started very soon. We have plenty to cover today. You can see from the agenda here on the screen that you're going to meet Dr. Heidi Marks. She's an Associate Dean here in the Faculty of Arts. She's just given a wave. Dr. Carrie Miller is from the Department of Native Studies. Dr. Mark Hudson from Global Political Economy. Karen James from German and Slavic Studies is here, and Dr. David Campfield from Labor Studies. If you have a question during the session today, we're asking if you could please use the Q&A function as part of Zoom to ask the question. We're going to open up time for questions at the end of the session after all of the presenters have completed their sections. We often find that many questions that attendees have are usually answered during the presentations, so please, we ask if you could hold on to your questions to the end, and we'll be sure to answer everything before we finish off. Throughout the presentation, I encourage everyone to take a screenshot of any of the slides that you like. We have some with web addresses listed or course names and numbers that you might like to refer to later. Also remember, as I mentioned, we're recording the session and it will be available in a few days on umanitoba.ca if you'd like to go back and listen to anything again, or if you missed something and you'd like to refer to it a second time. I'd now like to turn it over to Dr. Heidi Marks, who's going to tell us a bit more about what the term arts actually means and what you can study in the Faculty of Arts. Dr. Marks?
Thank you, Amber. As Amber said, welcome to the Faculty of Arts. You've made the right choice to study with us. What is arts? What does an arts education even mean? Arts refers to the liberal arts as opposed to the fine arts like music or pottery or drawing. It's a term which originated in the educational systems of the ancient classical Greek and Roman worlds. The liberal arts referred to a handful of subjects that would prepare people, mostly elite men at the time, not just for certain jobs, but for all of life, for the art of living well. In the medieval university, there were 7 liberal arts: grammar, rhetoric, logic, geometry, music, and astronomy. These were subjects that any educated person, still mostly elite men at the time, would learn about before turning to more specific professional training as doctors, lawyers, or theologians. Although we are a long way from the ancient world or the Middle Ages, some of these subjects are still taught in faculties of arts today. But let's talk more about arts today and arts at the University of Manitoba. Well, first, we can tell you that you've chosen a very popular place. Over 4,400 undergraduate students and about 500 graduate students have made the same choice, but what they are studying varies greatly. We hope you will find your calling here. We have 26 areas to choose from and over 75 introductory level courses that will be offered this coming year. Beyond the classroom, we offer many opportunities for students to get involved in something that interests them. We have 4 departments that offer co-op programs and numerous travel and exchange opportunities for when those start up again. There are student groups to join and research positions to fill as well. Even while we are remote, you still have access to professors and student advisors who can help guide you along the way and who can be part of activities that give you the chance to experience your university education in a unique way. The Faculty of Arts offers 4 different Bachelors of Arts degrees: a BA General, a BA Advanced, a BA Honors degree, and the BA of Integrated Studies. And the latter is primarily for people already in the workforce who wish to go back to university to complete a degree. So you might even tell your parents about that one. Which degree you choose will depend on what you'd like to study and your career or future education plans for pre-professional study or graduate studies. Once you've taken some courses and gotten more of a feel for your chosen area of study, you may also decide to change which degree path you're on, and that is just fine. You do not have to lock in before you even start. I changed my bachelor's degree 3 times. I was first a psychology major, then a theater major, and when I figured out that I was a horrible actor, I went over to the philosophy department where I stayed. Now, what do we do in the Faculty of Arts? Well, it's a large faculty with many interesting choices, as you can see from this screen. And these are all areas of study for either your major or your minor. You've already got an idea of what you'd like to focus on, or maybe you don't. Perhaps you've registered for a variety of courses from different areas to help you choose your future major, and that's a good strategy. Many students decide on what to major in after their first year of study. You don't want to wait too long before declaring a major though, because that can sometimes restrict your registration in later years. In fact, up to 60% of students graduate from a different program than the one they started in, and up to 25% of students attempt 3 or more programs during their degree. What I'm trying to say is that your first year is an introduction. It's a year of discovery. Even if you have a clear focus and goal, we encourage you to listen and learn about areas we're profiling this week. Perhaps you will at least get ideas for minors or for your elective courses. When you are here at the Faculty of Arts, you will gain employable and transferable skills. At a high level, an arts education will help you to do the following: broaden your mind, teach you how to gather facts, interpret information, and make informed decisions, and help you to learn different viewpoints, and that there's usually not one right answer to a problem. You will acquire the skills sought by today's employers, like the ones listed here. We're not a trade school. What we offer is a skills-based education that helps you prepare for a future career. But more than that, and often more importantly than that, we can help you become a better and more fulfilled human being by teaching you how to be a better friend, family member, partner, parent, citizen, and human being. A good life doesn't just happen, and it certainly won't happen if we don't even take the time to think about what that means. And a good life is only partly linked to good employment, but that is undoubtedly important. A good life is the result of deliberate, conscious, informed choices you make about who you want to be and how you want to live. We help you learn more about the decision-making processes that can assist you to make better choices in all areas of your life. Now let's talk about what to expect this year. It's going to be a little bit different this fall, as I'm sure you know. You've been hearing about this for a while, but when classes start next week, what can you really expect? Well, your experience is going to look a little bit more like the photo on the left than the one on the right. There will be online classes using tools like Zoom versus packed lecture halls holding over 200 students at a time. You'll set up a study station at home instead of carrying all your belongings to campus for an all-day cram session in the library with your friends. You'll eat lunch in your kitchen instead of in the quad. But there will be a lot of similarities as well. The expectations of your instructors for quality work submitted on time won't change. The independent nature of university studies versus what you were used to in high school. The connections you'll make with classmates because of your shared interests and goals. We hope to welcome you all to campus sometime soon, maybe January, maybe later. But until then, the university is ready to support all students with your education and your overall university experience. Here are some tips we've compiled to help you prepare. And this slide will take a little while because we've compiled a lot of thoughts for you here. All courses in the Faculty of Arts will be taught via remote learning for fall term 2020. If you register for a 6 credit hour course that spans September to April, that course will begin and end remotely. You'll never move onto campus for that one. All courses will be accessible through the U of M's learning management system called UMLearn, and you've probably accessed this today through that, so you're already getting familiar. Hopefully you've also been using it this summer to complete your online orientation training called Essentials. That will help you get used to the system. To prepare for classes, we encourage you to prep your work area, get your headphones and computer ready, have a space where you can spread out your textbook readings, computer, and writing space. Read the course syllabus so you know what is due, when it's due, and how it will be marked. That is your roadmap to all of your courses. And the first answer you'll probably get to many questions from your professor is it's in the syllabus. Read the course syllabus carefully and often. You should expect a mix of live classes, recorded lectures that you can go back and review, and some supplementary videos. Many arts classes have a participation component for marks, and we can still do this online with breakout rooms, polls, chats, and other unique tools your profs are discovering. So be ready to jump in and participate. Testing will also be done online, and this can include everything from multiple choice calculations, short answer, and essays. All the things you'd be tested on paper in person. Your instructors will provide all the information in advance so you are ready and prepared. While we're talking about online tests and other forms of assessment, I want to remind you of something you've learned about already in Essentials, namely the importance of academic integrity. I am the person in arts who is in charge with dealing with most cases of academic dishonesty, whether it be plagiarism, cheating, personation, purchase papers, and so forth. And you may find yourself more tempted to engage in this behavior in an online setting, and you may think that there are more opportunities to do so, but the consequences really are not worth it. You can be suspended for years from taking classes at the University of Manitoba. I strongly urge you to familiarize yourself with the university policies and ensure you follow them. Traditionally, we encourage students to get to know their instructors, visit them during office hours, talk to them after class. You can also do these things remotely. There will still be office hours and ways to connect with your instructor when you have questions. They're not going to answer your direct message at 2 a.m., but they are there to support during regular office hours. And they're also going to be responsive with email. If you're unsure of when their office hours are, please ask. Speaking of which, ask questions early. Don't wait until the day before the exam. Make sure you connect with fellow students, teaching assistants, and professors throughout the term to stay on top of the material. While I encourage you to make an effort to get to know your instructors, I also want to remind you of the importance of being patient and respectful in your communication with them, and also with your fellow students. There is a whole session this week on respectful digital conduct, and I would strongly urge you to participate in that. In order to get through this semester together, we need to be kind, generous, and gentle with one another. You'll find instructors have varying levels of comfort with technology. Some will use more tools than others, and that's okay. The important part is not how flashy it is, but whether or not you're able to get the info you need to learn the material. And remember, don't use your personal address, email address, Gmail or Shaw. You must use your myumanitoba.ca email address to communicate with professors and university staff. This is how important messages will come to you, and you'll need to check this email regularly for information on deadlines and important announcements from the university and from the Faculty of Arts. Even though we aren't together in person, we've learned over the past few months that we can still build community together. There are many student groups that will still be running. You can build or join online study groups with fellow students. You can follow social media for reminders to learn about online events and to stay ahead of the game. The Academic Learning Center has online workshops, tutors, and more to help you get through your studies. Don't be afraid to use their services. They are here for all students, and they employ wonderful people. And don't forget, the Active Living Center is open. You can book an appointment to use the gym, stay active, and take the opportunity to get away every once in a while from the home desk you've set up for yourself. There are so many people waiting to help you. Please reach out and you'll find someone who can connect you to the right person for each question you have. Now let's dig deeper into some of the programs we offer. Have you ever heard of the term interdisciplinary studies? What areas of studies does it include? Well, let's find out more. The word interdisciplinary refers to areas of study that work across and between more clearly defined disciplines. So any program of study that combines or involves two or more academic disciplines or fields of study can be called interdisciplinary. It's important to note that lots and lots of scholars and teachers in arts who are in specific humanities or social sciences disciplines actually work in very interdisciplinary ways. For instance, even though I'm in a religion department, I draw on approaches and materials from philosophy, classics, medicine, anthropology, history, literature, and even linguistics when I use ancient languages like Greek and Latin for my work. In arts, we have lots of programs and even whole departments that don't easily fit into a single field of study. And so we call them interdisciplinary programs and departments. So here's a slide with all of those areas of study in the Faculty of Arts for you to choose from. And the ones that are in blue are the ones you're going to hear from today. So let me give you just a quick sampling of some exciting topics that get studied in these programs and ways in which you can focus your coursework. You can take a class focused on Inuit culture and Native studies and another on Métis literature. In women's and gender studies, you can learn about the perspectives and struggles of sex workers in Canada. You can also explore the current struggles of Indigenous women and men to attain justice for murdered and missing female members of their communities. You can focus your studies on a time period such as the medieval or early modern period by taking courses across a number of departments. And you can also focus regionally by doing the same. Finally, you can take all kinds of very cool languages from Japanese, Korean, Icelandic, Polish, Ukrainian, Cree, and Italian to name but a few. We now have a few special guests who are going to take you through the 4 areas highlighted in blue in a little bit more detail. So first, I'd like to invite Dr. Carrie Miller, who's an associate professor and the department head for Native Studies, and she'll share more about her department and the wonderful things you can learn there. Carrie, welcome.
Bonjour, Gachekwe Indigenous, Makwen Dodem, Ojibwe Anishinaabe and Dao. I always like to introduce myself in my original language of Anishinaabe, which is one of the things that we teach in our department. So Native Studies is an interdisciplinary, multidimensional field that examines and embodies historical and contemporary worldviews related to the social and political status of Indigenous people. In particular, we are approaching history, political studies, anthropology, social science through an Indigenous lens, thinking from that worldview perspective as we approach the work that we do in the department. Next slide would be great. So Native Studies focuses on a millennia of Indigenous experiences and they're in ancestral territories. Connection with the land is enormously important in the way that we understand ourselves and our places. It's one of the reasons that we now do a territorial acknowledgement here at the university, and you may see those at the beginning of your syllabus for many of your classes. We also critically examine the societal processes that have had and continue to have an effect on Indigenous people in Canada since the time of European colonization. Colonialism is still ongoing. The water that we drink here in Winnipeg comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, who by law are not allowed to drink that water. Our electricity is powered by hydroelectric dams that have flooded the active productive land on which many Indigenous communities in northern Manitoba have subsisted. So colonialism is not a thing of the past, it's ongoing, and it's something that we investigate not only in its past context, but in its present context. So our degree programs, we have both a minor in Native Studies generally, but also one specifically in Indigenous languages. The languages that we have available right now are Anishinaabe, Cree, and Michif. Anishinaabe, we now have an Anishinaabe faculty member who has built us both 3- and 4-year programs and is also offering some support at the graduate level. We offer Cree right now at the 1st-year level. We're quickly going to be expanding into the 2nd-year level, and Michif just at the 1st-year level. We also have our major. Our basic major is 30 credits. An advanced major is 48 credits. It's the difference between a 3-year and a 4-year degree program. We have a number of streams within that: our general stream in Native Studies, our Anishinaabe language stream. Both of those can be done at the 30 credit level. And then at the 48 credit level, you can do either a general degree or our Aboriginal governance stream, which brings together classes from Native Studies, Political Studies, and the Asper School of Business. So we also offer master's and graduate programs, doctoral programs. I'm not going to go into too much detail on those, but know that if this is something that really catches your interest, there are additional levels that you can pursue these studies with as you go. Next slide. Oh, typical courses. So our intro courses, Indigenous People of Canada, Part 1, and Indigenous People in Canada, Part 2. Those 2 courses are prerequisites for most of our other classes at the 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 level. So we would encourage you to start there. That's a broad overview that is going to bring the Indigenous presence back into the history that we understand ourselves through as Canadians. I've also put on here some of our introductory language classes. We also have classes that focus on specific communities because, of course, as we look across Canada, there are more than 600 different Indigenous communities. Here in Manitoba, we have a smaller number. We have 63 reserves representing 7 different Indigenous nationalities. And so we also are have classes that focus on the Métis of Canada, Inuit society and culture. So what we do is not all First Nations. We do offer classes and content that is relevant to all of our Indigenous communities here in Canada. Some of the unique opportunities, we have of course, the graduation powwow that's offered through Mi'kmaq Agamic. We have opportunities to work with Indigenous communities, particularly in our Indigenous governance stream. We have a colloquium series where every Wednesday, an Indigenous scholar or community member will come in and talk about their work and what they do. All students are able to attend that. We have various workshops that we conduct. It varies depending on the semester and what comes up. And of course, we have the Cree, Michif, and Anishinaabemowin language training. So a lot of people say, you know, I'm really interested in Native Studies, but what can I do with it? And so we wanted to put a lot of different opportunities up here to really think about that. Community educator. There are a lot of jobs opening up right now in teaching, in particular, Indigenous languages in the K-12 systems, both in the Frontier School District outside of the city, but also school districts like Seven Oaks here in Winnipeg are also sending us emails. Do you have graduates? Do you have someone that we could hire to teach our students? Journalism. The APTN network is housed here in Winnipeg. It's where its central headquarters are. So job opportunities there. Being a mediator, we certainly see often in the news situations where conflicts between communities and government need to be mediated. I could talk about all of these going on, but I also really want to emphasize that this is an excellent degree for pre-law, for pre-medicine, and for education, nursing, or social work. In particular, I think a lot of people don't realize how much of our courses really discuss policy and legal decisions, court cases, because that is the reality that Indigenous people live under. We're governed by the Indian Act here in Canada, which sets us in a different political class. What does that mean? How does it affect all of these areas? So we have a number of students that have gone on very successfully in law. Medicine is now requiring, or may soon require, the 1220 and 1240 for entrance into medicine, because we have so many that we serve here in Manitoba coming from the north, being flown in from the north. So all of these things, everywhere you look, there's a need for an understanding of Indigenous communities. Indigenous people are 20% of the province demographics. This means 1 in 5 employers, customers, patients, all of the people that you work with as you graduate, 1/5 of them, every 5th person will be Indigenous, and understanding more about our shared history and the political status will put you in better stead. So that's my pitch. I hope to see some of you join us, and I'll pass the baton to the next program.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I now invite Dr. Mark Hudson, Associate Professor in Sociology, but the coordinator for Global Political Economy, to share more about their program. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks very much, Heidi. Really appreciate it. Nice actually to hear a little bit about some of the other programs at U of M as well, interdisciplinary programs. GPE in a nutshell is about revealing and making connections so that we can become more effective change makers in the world. And I'm going to use the acronym GPE throughout this because global political economy is kind of a mouthful, and it would take half my presentation time just to get that out. So, so why are the nations of the world having such a tough time taking action on climate change? Why, when the world produces enough food to feed everyone on the planet, are 1 billion people undernourished? What do either of these things have to do with decisions that are made in the skyscrapers of financial districts in places like London or New York or Hong Kong? These are the kinds of questions that GPE challenges students to take on, that the challenges that are facing humankind in the next century are really daunting, and they can seem really intractable. A whole global system of political and economic forces influences not only big global problems, but also issues that are right in your hometown, things like a lack of affordable housing, deep racialized poverty, urban sprawl. Things like entrenched inequality, climate change, and poverty are hugely complex problems with no easy solutions. And GPE was conceptualized and designed by faculty members in 5 arts disciplines who were actually a little bit frustrated at the limits of their own disciplinary perspectives. And it was designed to prepare students to understand and take on these kinds of complex social, political, economic, and environmental questions in a more holistic way. So the slide in front of you just shows the 5 different disciplines that make up GPE. And economists and political scientists, historians, sociologists, anthropologists, they all have distinct ways of seeing the world, and they have distinct tools for understanding or explaining what they see. They each offer unique, sometimes competing, sometimes complementary explanations for why the world is as it is. And the GPE program is an opportunity that's unique among Canadian undergraduate programs to learn and to bridge these perspectives to gain a really deep understanding of our complex and increasingly interconnected world. Can I go to the next slide, Amber? Thanks. So GPE offers a general 3-year major and an advanced 4-year major degree. One of the different things about GPE is if you do the GPE major, you're not required to take a minor because the program already offers a huge breadth of perspectives, but you can take a minor if you're interested in doing so. So say, for example, you want to learn or develop a language and get a credential for that, or if you want to further your studies in a particular discipline that participates in GPE, like economics, because you want to go further with that education after your graduation from U of M, then you have the opportunity to do that. Next slide. So students actually have to complete a set of courses in order to get into GPE. You can't declare the major right out of the gates. But a typical set of intro courses might look like this. We have a course focused on Canadian political economy. That's a macroeconomics course. We have a politics course on comparative politics, and that one has a significant focus on international development and development in the global south. You might look at a microeconomics course that's centered on understanding global environmental problems. We want our students to take a modern world history course. That's just to get you up to speed on the last 500 years or so of life on the planet. And then finally, this kind of mouthful of a course that's a GPE tailored course called Social Justice and Environmental Transformation in the 21st Century. We tried to come up with a snappy name, but really, this was as close as we could come. And in this course, the instructor uses a multimedia approach to studying 4 or 5 contemporary issues. So we might think about climate change or the pandemic or immigration, armed conflicts throughout the world, decolonization. And they introduce students to how these are understood in a political economy lens. I gather in that class you watch a fair amount of John Oliver videos and then use that as a gateway to kind of a more serious analysis. So if you haven't signed up for this particular set of courses, you don't need to worry about it. You can always make them up in subsequent years. This just gives you a flavor of the kind of courses that often are the gateway for students in GPE. So at the upper division, I just want to move this through this fairly quickly. Once you get into the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years, this just, again, gives you a kind of a flavor of the kind of courses that we offer. We have courses in international political economy and political economy 1 and 2. Those focus on how the capitalist system functions either at a national or an international level. We have a course on power, politics, and the welfare state through the sociology program that looks at the ways that social relations and power relations in different countries have shaped their welfare states. A history of capitalism course, which is pretty self-explanatory. Ecology and society looks at the relationships between human societies and their natural environments. And anthropological perspectives on globalization and the world system is a kind of a cultural take on how it is that the world system, as that becomes increasingly integrated, functions. So in addition to taking all of these courses outside of the walls of students in GP have the opportunity to enroll in the field placement course that Dr. Camfield is going to talk about in a few minutes. And what we've got here is a list of the Winnipeg community organizations that GPE students were placed with last year. And all of these students did really meaningful, very challenging work with community organizations that helped them do advocacy, policy work, and outreach in the local community. A pretty substantial number of our students also make it a priority to get out and see other parts of the world, and we work very hard in the program to accommodate students who choose to do so. We really want our graduates to have some experience with another culture and another part of the world. Obviously, COVID is putting some limitations on that for everybody right now, but we're hoping that we'll have those opportunities up and running before folks start to graduate. So we just have a list of places that some of our students have gone, either on exchange programs or sometimes work terms. And as you see, it's throughout the world, from Scandinavia and Southern Europe, Africa, Latin America, East Asia, and they've all had amazing experiences doing so. So you might be asking yourself whether this is a program for you. Only you can answer that question, but I can tell you the kinds of students that excel in our program, that really embrace it and get involved with the program. And many of our students still are in touch with their peer group that they went through the program with. First of all, these students are motivated to better understand the world in order to try to change it. There's a kind of an active component to that learning and a motivation about social change. Secondly, they're up for a challenge. So if you're at university to get a degree with minimum effort, this is not your choice. The program is very demanding of its students, and it's more heavily prescribed than most programs at the university, most degrees. So we actually require a lot of courses. There are definitely easier ways to get your degree, but our graduates tell us year after year that the reward is well worth the struggle. Sometimes when they're writing their undergraduate theses in February, they probably regret their decision having gone down this course, but at the end of it, they're always extremely happy. And then finally, you should have some interest in law and policy with an interest in social justice and sustainability. A lot of our course content focuses on these aspects of political economy. So what are you going to do with it? This is always the question. As Carrie Miller mentioned, everyone wants to know what happens when you get out the end. As with most arts degrees, I can't tell you what you're going to do for a living afterwards, but GPE provides you with a toolbox. It develops analytical, research, communication, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills that can be applied in a huge range of settings. And I've put up on the slide just a smattering of the kinds of places that our graduates over the last 7 or 8 years have ended up. Now, some of these have gone right out from the GPE program to do their thing, and others have gone on to graduate or professional schools. You see one of the professions listed up there is a professor. You don't get to be a political science prof with a BA, no matter how awesome that BA program is. And actually a large portion of our students have gone on to graduate work in universities, from Oxford in England to the Graduate Institute in Geneva, universities across Europe, the US, and Canada. So GPE has grads who are working in industries across the board, from being financial planners to doing youth outreach to being members of parliament. So as you can see, a number of our grads do end up working as policy developers or analysts with different levels of government. So we have folks working on climate policy, we have folks working on internet communications policy, doing outreach for the federal government. So a lot of folks working in the public sector. And that's it for me. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions that we don't get to today, or you want to follow up later, you can find my email on the UM website, and I'm always happy to talk to anyone who's interested in the program. So with that, back to you, Heidi. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'd now like to invite Karen James, who's an instructor in the German and Slavic Studies department, to tell us about what they do there.
Mute.
Just have to unmute.
Sorry. Thank you, Heidi. And yeah, thank you also to Amber for organizing all of this, and welcome to everybody who's joining us today. So hallo und guten Tag. Thank you. You have heard a lot about the different options that we have throughout the various programs within the Faculty of Arts, and understanding between nations is now more important than ever. I'm sure you would agree. You've heard about the variety of these fascinating programs and courses where you can learn very, very important knowledge. And now I want to interest you in European languages and culture. And I would like to walk you first through the degree programs that we do offer. We are the Department of German and Slavic Studies, so that's not a combination that you find in a lot of universities across Canada, or the US for that matter. But we do, contrary to popular belief, work very well together. And we offer various degree programs, as you can see, a minor in all of our different programs: German, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, Central and East European Studies, and Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Studies. And in most of our programs, we also offer a general major. For the foreseeable future, we will add, expected in the fall 2021, we expect to add the advanced major co-op and an honors co-op in Central and East European Studies and German respectively. So a minor, what does that mean? A minor basically in our department means 18 credit hours of any course. And that could also mean that if you're taking, if you're interested in studying German, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, and not want to ever learn the language, you can actually do that. You didn't hear that from me. But anyways, you could actually do that and get the minor by taking culture or literature classes that are offered in English. I will speak a little bit more about that in a bit. But another thing that I wanted to just point you at is the fact that if you want to just dip your toes into all the different kinds of programs and take some courses in German, but also in Russian or Ukrainian or Polish, you could combine those courses and take a minor in Central and East European Studies, or take it on to a major, which would be 30 credit hours. Next slide, please. Our courses follow our language courses. They follow the Common European Framework of Reference for Language Learning and Teaching. Now that's a big, long title. It basically is an internationally recognized and used framework that guides learners as well as instructors through all levels of language learning and teaching, of course. Our courses, all of them, offer a beginner level, which would be the equivalent for that framework as an A1 level, up to about B1, B2, which is upper intermediate. But some of our courses can go beyond that. And we offer courses such as translation courses, business language courses, and all of those kinds of courses would by default be interdisciplinary. And our German section is also an accredited Goethe Institute Examination Center where you can take an official language exam and receive an internationally valid language proficiency certificate. Again, that is something that you can take to any employer, and if they've ever had anything to do with German, they would know what that is and would be able to look at this and say, very employable person. And I also wanted to mention that I know you're just getting started, but if you already know you want to take your degree very, very far, then you can definitely plan early, because a lot of advanced degrees, a lot of PhD programs might require a language requirement and for those programs. And you could definitely plan early and get started in your undergrad program. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is that you don't have to be afraid of not mastering a new language. There's this common misconception out there that to learn a new language, you will have to be able to speak it perfectly, be able to understand anything, and that is just simply not true. Partial competences in any foreign language, and I'm not just speaking for German because I teach it, but for all foreign languages, including the native languages, you I want you to know and take away from this that partial competences are a definite plus in any job that you might be doing down the road. Knowledge in languages, culture, and literature are invaluable and applicable to just about any profession. Again, the concept of interdisciplinary studies comes into play because in a language class, you end up having a lot of different backgrounds of students and a lot of different interests. They all come together in there, and you will be learning so much more than the language, which is a big part in itself, but just communicating with your fellow students, you would be very surprised of the fringe benefits of learning a language in that setting. In terms of cultures, again, keep in mind culture and literature classes that are offered in English, you are likely looking at a component that fulfills the writing requirement that the Faculty of Arts would have. And so if you take a culture or literature course in any of our languages, you can fulfill the writing requirement. You basically multitask by putting that maybe towards a major or minor. And you might also fulfill your humanities requirement. So all very big pluses for you. The new co-op program that we're going to be adding is also adding to the variety of the choices that you have. Slide 4, please. Here's basically a small sampling of, it's a very small sampling of the courses that we do offer. So there are the classics such as Tolstoy's War and Peace, Love, Heroes, and Patriotism in Contemporary Poland. You can explore Russia through film. And then we've added some brand new courses. One is called The Depiction of the Indigenous in German Children's Literature. Another one is exploring the ecology and environment in German culture and English translation, and it's called My Friend the Tree. We're also looking at spies and stories of secret agents, treason, and surveillance. So those are a few of our brand new courses along with the classics. We have, of course, travel courses, which unfortunately, of course, currently are on hold, but they have been very popular, and our exchange programs, the same concept there. You see a picture of one of our students who's been on exchange. He has worked as our TA and been just a general great ambassador for both our programs, as well as one of the programs that offers a lot of sponsorship for students going abroad. That's called the DAAD, so the German Academic Exchange program. And we do also offer financial support through internal and government scholarships. The internal ones usually come from our partner universities. There are research grants available and internships once you get to that level of studies. You can't do that in your first or second year, but definitely later on. Another component that is highly recommendable would be, again, the student groups, becoming involved in that. And within the student groups, you would also be able to collect recognition for the so-called CCR, which is the co-curricular record. Again, a very valuable piece of paper, basically, down the road, but confirming that your involvement goes beyond the classroom and is again something that employers love to see. Next slide, please. Yeah, so sample jobs. As I said, really any job benefits from knowledge of a foreign language and culture, and there are some specialized jobs that you see listed here. The picture of the person you see here, again, is not a random person, but one of our graduates, and he is in our, he's taking law right now. And interesting fact as well, so, some of our students have definitely done very, very well as lawyers down, like past their undergrad degrees and taking law then. But with the background of an additional language, I just heard back from a student of ours who wanted to just reach out again and say how much the German language that he learned with us has benefited him. He has been one of our poster kids, basically, because he's gone on exchange. He's been involved in all sorts of different areas, including the student clubs, and has now just landed a job straight out of law school with a company that definitely highlighted that his German knowledge was a benefit to his application. So I wanted to just leave you with that little bit of information, and thank you so much for your interest.
Thank you, Karen. Lastly, we have Dr. David Campfield, Associate Professor and Coordinator for Labor Studies, to tell us about his program.
Hello, so here we are in Labor Studies. Next slide, please. Right, so what's Labor Studies about? It's not about giving birth, and it's also not just about so-called blue-collar workers. Next. Right, it's about work in society more broadly. We don't claim to have a crystal ball. We can't predict the future, but we do think that by understanding the way work and society are organized today, it will help us understand the shape of these things to come. Next slide, thanks. So Labor Studies is an interesting program. I think it's distinctive in the way that it brings together big ideas and practical knowledge. It's interdisciplinary, like other programs that you've seen, but it's got this particular connection to the world of work, as well as developing skills, like the kinds of skills that we encourage in all the programs within the Faculty of Arts. So Labor Studies looks at these kinds of questions about why is the world of work the way that it is? How can it be made better? What's changing about the world of work, but also what's not changing, cutting through the hype to actually look at what the real underlying trends are in the world of work. And then we look at different aspects of health and safety. We look at issues around the law and the way that different forms of social inequality shape work. This is a degree you can take on to do many different kinds of things. Some people go on to do law, become labor lawyers, for example, work in health and safety. Quite a number of people do things connected to human resources, or they work for unions, or they take their skills into journalism or advocacy, helping people to fight for their rights. There are lots of other things that people can do, including graduate education. So we have an advanced major, a general major, and a minor. The advanced major, the four-year degree, is particularly important because it has these two particular opportunities: the field placement program, which Dr. Hudson mentioned earlier, and I'll go on and talk about that course soon. And also there's a co-op option where you can be integrating work terms with study terms. So there's two first-year courses, Labor Studies 1260, Labor Studies 1290, that you want to start with. They're both required for the program. Labor Studies 1260, both of our sections are filled up already, and Labor Studies 1290, one of them is full. So they're popular courses. That's a list of some of the other courses that you can take. We also have others. You can see they cover a wide range of issues. So what's the field placement? The field placement's it's two courses, a total of 9 credit hours, and it combines in-class and workplace learning. So you're placed with an organization that is somehow connected to your interests, and you do several hours a week in that course, so in that workplace. And then at the same time, you do a seminar course that's connected to the practical experience that you're getting in that workplace. And you do a research project that's connected to what you're doing there in that workplace. So it gives you the opportunity to both deepen your research skills, but also get some workplace experience, network, and get some leads and connections there. So it's a unique work integrated learning experience that you would normally do in the last year of your degree. And then there's the new co-op education option. So that's where you do an advanced major. In addition, you do 3 paid work terms. So you'd be rotating academic terms with work terms. That's something you have to apply for. So make sure after your first year that you contact the Faculty of Arts co-op coordinator. She will be happy to help you with learning more about this option. Labor Studies does a number of things outside the classroom. We have a meet and greet gathering every year. We're going to have to probably do something creative about doing that online in early 2021. There's an annual conference organized by the Mel Myers, so the Myers Weinberg firm, law firm, brings together lots of people who are working for unions or involved with unions to look at emerging issues in the world of work, legal issues and other issues. And our students apply and generally get subsidies to be able to go to this important conference here in Winnipeg. There's a Students Association. We always have tutors through the Academic Learning Center, particularly tied to labor studies courses to help students. And we have 4 of our own scholarships. So that's, considering the number of students we have, you have a good shot or better shot maybe at a scholarship if you're in labor studies than if you were in a much larger department. There are 4 faculty who are appointed 100% or cross-appointed into labor studies. In addition, we have a whole number of instructors who may be practitioners in a field, like they might be lawyers or people with a lot of experience as health and safety advocates or doing other things in the world of work who play an important role in our program, as well as our faculty.
Thank you, David. We hope that all of that helps you gain a better understanding of the types of things you will learn and study in the Faculty of Arts, particularly in the interdisciplinary programs, and where those studies can potentially lead you after graduation. So you've made a very good choice entering the Faculty of Arts. It seems like a long way off, but at the end of your time with us, when you earn your arts degree, you will be equipped to pursue a wide variety of exciting and challenging careers in today's changing world. Arts degree holders are in demand. Our graduates have gone on to jobs in both the public and private sectors, in areas such as media, government, marketing, social services, and technology, to name but a few. Here, we show you just a handful of occupations that may fit you and that you could do with an arts degree and some related work experience. Or you may find you'd like to continue your studies. Many students start in arts and use what they learn here as a base for a specialized degree, such as law, education, or they may go on to a master's degree or a PhD. Your time here is what you make of it, and there are many choices and opportunities, and we hope you enjoy it. I'm now going to pass things back to Amber, who's going to take you through the final section of this presentation with some resources and reminders. Amber?
Thank you, Heidi. So we have a few more slides to go through, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So you can start thinking about your questions now, and if you'd like to start entering them in the Q&A, you can do so as well. So even though you've gone through your registration and classes begin next week, you may feel like you're still in the planning stages of your degree. Which degree will you pursue? What will your major be? Should you even choose a minor? And after hearing some of the speakers today, you might have some new courses piquing your interest to fill those elective spots in year 2 and year 3. As we've mentioned, it's okay to not have it all figured out yet. A degree is an ongoing, evolving process, and you have tools and supports to help you navigate it. We've got some resources to help. You've heard a lot today about languages that we offer in the Faculty of Arts. Did you know that we have actually over 15 different languages that we offer? So this slide will introduce you to some of the other ones that haven't been talked about yet today. We have options from beginner levels to advanced. You've heard that you can take your new language on a study abroad opportunity when those open up again, where you can use it and then improve it. We also have a language lab in arts that's important that I wanted to share with you. It has resources that can help you practice and apply your language skills. And in the time of remote learning, we've developed ways to offer the lab tools to our students while they're studying from home. The lab also offers tutors to students that are taking language classes. You may decide to take a language for interest or for a future career, as some of our speakers have said today. There's 2 main ways to stay on top of your degree planning. We want to encourage you to go back regularly and review the academic calendar. It's your guidebook, your degree and course catalog. It can help you to see and plan out each year of study. You'll also learn about a tool called Achieve. This is an online degree audit that does a lot of the same things the academic calendar does, just in an online format. Also, this tool keeps track of what courses you've taken so far. Both tools help with your planning, as they show you if you're taking the correct prerequisite courses for any future courses you have in mind, and they track if you are fulfilling the requirements for your chosen major and chosen degree. You can also connect with a Faculty of Arts academic advisor at any time to help interpret what you see in these tools, if you're finding it a little tough or you have some additional questions. A link to both of these tools and to connect with an arts academic advisor can be found on the Arts homepage, and the URL for that is at the bottom of the slide. So if you have questions now or any time during the year, we're here to help. The academic advisors are a trained team to help you navigate your academic options. They can help to plan your studies and prepare for future terms. They can discuss factors to consider when declaring your major. They can help to keep you on track to meet your degree requirements. They can provide information on general services that are available on campus, and they can give advice to enhance your overall university academic experience. We encourage you to contact the advisors if you're struggling or having difficulties, or you just don't know where to go to for help. You can start with them. I'd also like to point out that within our academic advisors, we have an advisor available that specializes in international student issues. During the fall term, advisors are going to be available by email. Please email them directly with your questions. The address is on the slide. To continue to get yourself acclimated to the Faculty of Arts, we'd also like to encourage you to visit our web pages where you can find information on the things we've covered today and much, much more. We'd also love for you to connect with us on one or more of our social media accounts. Follow along during the year to learn more about us, the courses we offer, the amazing research being conducted by our professors and students, and to stay on top of Manitoba deadlines. We always use social media to remind you of key dates, let you know about contests or other opportunities for students, and to share the stories of your fellow students and of alumni to give you ideas on majors you can choose, career choices, and more. All of the student group accounts you saw listed today on the slides were Instagram accounts. The Faculty of Arts is offering a few other sessions this week during Prep Week to help welcome you. All sessions are being recorded and will be available online, so you can watch them anytime. Even if you had to miss the live session, or if it's already passed and you want to go back to it now. The link is at the bottom of the screen. I encourage you to take a screenshot for your reference so you can go back to it. So our humanities session on Monday covered the areas of English, theater, film and media, classics, and religion. And our social sciences session tomorrow on Thursday will introduce you to sociology and criminology, linguistics, and political studies. If you want to go back and watch the Profs or People 2 session from Monday, you'll learn more about what professors are like and what they expect from their first-year students. There's a number of special interactive lectures from various faculties this week that can help give you an idea of what online lectures will actually be like. Dr. Negan Sinclair from Native Studies and Dr. Ryan Giuliano from Psychology are hosting 2 of these lectures. In their sessions, they'll also be providing tips on how to take notes during an online lecture and how to get the most out of your online studies. Finally, there's a number of sessions this week on academic writing, career services, introductions to different student communities, and the one on digital conduct that Dr. Marks mentioned earlier. I encourage you to try to attend or go back and watch as many as you can to help get ready for the fall term. So that brings us to the end of the presentation, and I'm now going to open it up for questions. Again, please use the Q&A function to type in your question if you have one. As the questions start to come in, I'd like to remind everyone that the presenters are focusing on answering questions around today's session topic. So if you have questions about any of the particular areas, the courses, the planning, those types of things, take your opportunity now to ask these folks while they're here with us. If your questions pertain to things outside of these topic areas, I encourage you to go to umanitoba.ca and do a search on there. The website's always a good place to start when you have general questions. You can use the search function or the Ask You Manitoba button to type in your questions where you get an online response back. For example, there's dedicated offices to admissions, International Center, Student Life, and the First Year Center that can answer questions directly about those areas. So I'm going to take a look now. There aren't any questions sitting in there right now. Folks, we'll give you, oh, here comes one. This question comes in and it's related to languages. So it says, the only language I know right now is English. Is there particular language courses for, that are recommended for beginners? So maybe I'll ask Karen if you want to take that on, and I'm assuming the answer is really going to be any, because we do offer the introductory levels, but maybe you can give us a little sampling about where those classes start at the introductory level.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely correct, Amber. The answer would be any of the programs that we offer in arts would have beginner courses, and those beginner courses basically mean that you start with zero knowledge. Anything that you already know, if you have the ability to hold a basic conversation, you do not belong in a beginner course, then you better check with your instructor or find the instructor for the different courses and say, okay, maybe there's an intermediate level, and I would want to then encourage you to connect with that instructor and see if that course is maybe right for you, because that is an option as well, and there are override forms that we can prepare for you. But if you want to just do a basic beginner course, any of the courses will do.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Karen. The next one, I'm not sure, Heidi, if you can help us out with this next question. Dr. Miller had to leave the session for another meeting, but this question came in and said, is the Intro to Michif course based on Michif French or Michif Cree? Do we know the answer to that, or will we maybe have to go back to Dr. Miller for that one?
I think best to just confirm would be to send her an email. But my sense is that in Native Studies, it's Michif Cree. And then we've, I believe, just hired somebody in the French, Spanish, Italian department who is focused on Michif French. So it may be that soon you'll have opportunity to do both.
Excellent. So my recommendation for that question poser would be to send an email to the Native Studies department, and you can definitely find that email address by going to umanitoba.ca/arts and then clicking on Native Studies, and the information on how to contact them directly will be there. So that's great. Okay, I don't see any other questions that are coming in at this time. That means that our presenters did such a great job of answering and presenting their areas. So I want to say thank you to them for that. I do want to say now, just to close it off, that I want to thank everyone for joining our session today. We hope we've given you the tools to get ready for the start of term and answered some of your questions about what to expect. I want to thank our presenters again for sharing their insights with us. And I want to encourage you to continue to watch your umanitoba.ca email and social media for regular information and reminders from your faculty. One of those reminders is going to be for this coming Tuesday, September 8th, because at 10:30 on Tuesday, we're going to be having our official Welcome Day Zoom session for all new art students, where you're going to meet the Dean and some of your fellow students who are going to help share some key tips to help you get through first year. So we hope you'll be able to join us for that. So your Zoom link will be coming by email for that. Again, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to end the recording now and I'll be ending the session. Thank you.